Hey y'all, I just wanted to hop on here thinking about all the craziness that we kind of find ourselves in the middle of. I was laying in bed last night thinking about mamas in particular, um, especially the ones with young kids who are going to be home as we kind of distance ourselves socially, so to speak, for a while. They might be feeling a little bit overwhelmed at the thought of, oh my gosh, we have this extended spring break that wasn't really planned for, and we can't really go anywhere and do anything. What am I going to do? You might be feeling a little overwhelmed, and that's okay. That's understandable. You'll be fine, but it's okay to feel that way. And I just thought, gosh, I wish I could open up my studio and have some classes in here and let the kiddos come in so the moms could have a break and just use some creative energy, to do a little creating. Obviously, that's not going to work. Can't really have y'all over right now. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to hop on here in the morning and I'm just going to do a little project that maybe would cover a wide range of ages and that could be enjoyed by young and old, and maybe even mom might want to join in, using things that I think you probably already have at home. And so I might just do it every couple days. I think it would be fun. I have some fun activities that I think would work for you. So I hope you enjoy this. Leave me a comment if you end up doing one of these projects, or if you have any questions. I would love to see pictures posted if you end up doing it with your kids, so I can see what you created at home and we can all enjoy that, and maybe have a little camaraderie through creativity during this crazy time to kind of help ease a little bit of the tension. So follow along. Okay, you guys, so for supplies, I tried to gather together things that I thought you would already have. I got together some small markers, and then I also have a collection of the bigger, fatter markers. These are more like a chisel top. It doesn't really matter what markers you use. It'd be nice to have a variety. You could technically use crayons if you wanted also, or pencils and colored pencils. That would be awesome also. We're gonna be doing just a simple Zentangle design today. And I grabbed a cup and a Sharpie marker. I have two black markers. The black markers are pretty important. You want, preferably you would love to have a thicker black marker and then maybe a thinner one. But whatever you have is what is gonna work. So I'm gonna just do some simple designs here by using my cup and outlining around the cup to make some circles. And I'm using the thinner marker just because I want to be able to thicken it up later, and the thick marker is just going to draw it too big. So then I'm going to go ahead and do another one, and this one is going to, whoops, I moved it, overlap just a little bit. Notice, you guys, I'm not exactly on. That's one little fun fact about me. I'm not very exact. So the thicker marker, when I bring it in, will help clean up some of these funky lines that are kind of not super neat. So I'm overlapping a couple circles. I'm gonna come over here and overlap over here. Try to avoid that cup handle, which is gonna cause me to have it move every time. I'll just finish off my circle. Any size cup is gonna work fine for you, so don't worry about that. And then this one I'll overlap maybe this way. There we go. So it does not matter how many times you overlap it, how many circles you draw. Every time you do this project, it's going to turn out a little differently. So I just recently did this project as for a group of homeschoolers that I do classes with on a monthly basis. It was super fun, very relaxing, and everybody just really did such an awesome job and did very unique designs in this. So a Zentangle, you may have done them before. Sometimes you can find the coloring books for them. Is basically just a repeat of patterns over and over again. And it doesn't have to be like crazy complicated patterns. Sometimes the more simple, the better it is. And that's one of the reasons I chose this particular project this morning for us, because I felt like anybody could do it. You could have a wide variety of ages. You could have young little kids doing it, as long as you set up this little circle thing, or there's other ways you can do the design. You don't have to do circles. They can kind of do free form after that and do whatever they want. The goal is to just make something very bright and colorful and cheery, which, my goodness, could we not use some bright and colorful and cheery right now? So another good reason to do a project like this. Okay, so you can see I went around this several times and really got a lot of different circles in here. And so I'll come back in and I will eventually just darken those circles up. I'll do one of them so you can kind of see what I'm saying, because I do want them nice and thick and bold. And then my goal is wherever there is a overlapping of circles and a new little crescent or a new little shape is formed, I'm going to want to come in with a different design of Zentangle. And I'll explain Zentangle here in a minute of some ideas you could do. So they'll all kind of be like this, where they're making these little tiny little circles with little cutouts in them. Although that cutout's going to be awfully hard to fill. We'll have to see what we do on that. So the next thing I do is I'm going to decide on my different designs. And like I said, designs don't have to be super complicated. In fact, simple is actually a wonderful thing. So I'm gonna choose a color. I don't care what color it is. In fact, I oftentimes try not to think too much about color because it can just kind of overwhelm me a little bit. And I can think too hard about it. My goal always is to try to maybe think of some contrast to do. So contrast being like lights next to darks, warm colors like yellows and oranges and reds, kind of like a fire, right next to cooler colors like the blues and the greens and some purples, blacks and whites next to each other. Red and black is a great contrast. So anything that's going to be a real difference, like opposites kind of. And so I'm going to come in with a simple design. I'm just going to use purple to start off with. And for this design, I actually have gotten online on just Pinterest, and I looked up Zentangle designs, and I came up with a bunch of little designs that I cut out into little squares. And if you ever come in for one of my Zentangle classes, you will have just hundreds of these sitting in front of you, and you can choose one of these patterns one at a time to make your Zentangle, because I think one of the biggest issues people have with Zentangles is not knowing what to do. You get up there and you can't think of one single design. So I'm just going to choose a simple design to start us off with, and that's going to be, if I can get a hold of it, this one right here. So nothing big, looks like a little bouncy ball kind of thing. It reminds me of a springtime ball. And I think I'll start off by coloring in my space in the background first. Rethinking that one. Actually, I think what I'll do is I'm going to take my original purple, and I'm just going to color in these little squiggly lines. So this is my space I'm working in. And I'm not trying to measure anything, just get some squiggly lines in there. And you kids who have been in my classes before know, and adults too, I love curvy lines. I'm not a straight line person really. Probably because I'm not a super exact person. So I'm going to get several of these squiggly lines in. And then I'm going to go ahead and color around them with a different color. So because my purple is kind of dark, I'm going to go with just a light color, so a nice orange. And bear with me if you do on this first design. I'll get us going. And then I might speed up the tape and the videotaping and show you the whole process at speedy time. So I think, you guys, that these next few weeks, as we kind of hunker down in our homes, I think that it really could be a great opportunity to have fun projects to do with as a family, togetherness. That's a wonderful thing. Sometimes we overlook it. And I think that everyone's desire is to do that, and a lot of people are feeling that way, but sometimes it's a matter of just thinking what to do, There's only so many times you can play
Scrabble or Sorry, and only so many pans of brownies that you could bake before you may feel like you need some other ideas. And so I just feel like some unique creativity ideas that could possibly be done together would be a really good way to use up some energy that we're all gonna have. Okay, so I have basically the background there, and then I'm gonna choose a different color to do the little squiggly section. So I did them in a purple, and I think I might choose, I like really bright colors, so I think I'm gonna choose this kind of a fluorescent pink. And don't forget, you could use Crayola markers, you could use colored pencils. It doesn't really matter what you use. I really am of the belief that the goal is to be creative, not to do things perfectly or to have just all the right supplies, all the expensive supplies. Let's just create and use some of that creative energy. So, okay, so then I got my stripes, and now I need some polka dots. And so I think because I went with kind of a purple color on those lines, I might choose a dark purple to do my lines. And your lines they did straight lines. I don't maybe want to do straight lines. I might kind of just fill them in with polka dots all over. They kind of come across as black. I'm not sure if I love that. We'll see. So I have one of my sections here. In a moment I will have one of my sections completed with some kind of a design. And it was nothing fancy or nothing difficult. It was a simplistic design. But it fills in space with design and with color. And that's the important part about Zentangle. And so now, because this has a lot of like blocks of color, I might do something else that has a little bit more of an intricate design. So maybe on my next section, I think I'm just gonna take my markers and I might just do some fun, like little hump lines. There's no really right or wrong on this, you guys, at all. So, and then maybe I'll take this pretty blue. Fill in that little crack. So when I'm doing these, I try to think of like, if I'm gonna do kind of a busier line-filled design, then probably next to it, I'm gonna wanna do something that's a little less busy, a little more airy, so to speak. I'll do yellow here. And so because there's lots of big spaces of color in that one, I can do a little intricate one right here. And let's see, what color? I'll do this. Notice I'm using both big and small because I like variety. I like some of the lines to be bigger, some to be smaller for variety. I got a little funky in there. Okay, so you can kind of, and I could go in between, I could go back and do some fun. This is kind of a dark blue. I could take a very intricate small pen and kind of go in there for some pops of color. Some of those got a little squirrely. That's okay. Okay, so I'm going to kind of speed up the camera and you can kind of see what I'm doing here, but I do want to encourage you that it doesn't have to be really busy and or it doesn't have to be very complicated. The next one I'm going to probably do, you can watch it when I speed it up, is just going to be a simple like polka dots or you know, something like this, which of course I would love because it's flowers. Tons and tons and tons of flowers together, and they can be big and they can be small, or it could be something as simple as just lines. Maybe you have a colored background and then these little swirly lines in there. So don't feel like it has to be complicated at all. It can be fun, it can be easy, it can be hard. It doesn't have to have a particular way of doing it, and that way lots of different ages can do it together. So hold on and watch what I'm doing here as I finish it up, and then I'll show you the completed project.
Okay guys, so you guys got to see the finished design here. Again, the big circles, the dark circles kind of make everything pop. A couple suggestions I have for you. It took me about an hour to do that project. I work pretty fast though, so it can look a little overwhelming to you, and the whole point is to like make it relaxing and not feel overwhelmed. So a couple ideas to kind of help with that. One, don't feel like you have to do that whole thing in one day. You know, one thing you could do is just draw the circles in there, and then slowly over time, kids could add a few designs here and there and make it a couple days project where they just kind of keep coming back to it, kind of like a puzzle. And so that would be one option. Another option would be to get some big circles. Use some small paper plates or small plates and draw bigger circles, and maybe on a bigger piece of paper like poster board or something, and it could be a family project that you could work on over the next week or so, just kind of coming back to it a little at a time, and maybe choose like a group of colors that you're all going to work in, so that it kind of stays, in unity. You don't have to do that, but that's an option. And then it could be a whole entire family that works on it together, a little at a time. So that would be super fun. And then you'd have this really cool design that you did to kind of remember this crazy time by. Then also too, I was just thinking that this might look very overwhelming for little kids, and I will tell you that this class was a class I did for my upper level homeschool group. So it's kids ages basically like 11 on up. So this might be a little more for the older kids, but if you have younger kids, don't feel like they couldn't do it. My recommendation is, instead of all these little circles, which kind of call for small designs, you could do something like this, where you just draw in some simple lines, and they have all this big open space to work in to make bigger designs. And if you help them think of design ideas, that really would be a useful thing. They can do simple, like start them off saying, just do polka dots of different colors, and then we'll color the background all the same, or fun little flowers, or zigzags, or smiley faces, or anything. Simpler the better for kids under the age of like 7 and under. And this bigger space allows them to be able to design with, their motor skills needing bigger spaces to work in to have bigger designs. So you really have two options here for both ages. And my goodness, I loved doing this. So this is definitely an adult activity. So I really encourage you, make it a family activity where you draw in the circles and everyone just gets to add stuff as they want to. So I hope this is useful to you guys. I hope somebody would benefit from it and maybe put it to use. Something that I really enjoy, and I know the kids that have taken my classes have enjoyed doing it. So hopefully you will find it useful. Leave me a comment with any questions you might have, and oh my goodness, I would love to see any pictures of Zentangle's designs that you and your family and your kids have done. So by all means, let me see that. That would be awesome. So thanks, you guys. I hope you have a great day.